Ma'am, we will start, ma'am. A
Yes.
warm welcome to everyone gathered here. On behalf of Panimalar Institute of Technology, Science and Humanities Department, I welcome you all for this 5 days faculty development program. Herewith, we have our Dean. I request our Honorable Dean to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you,
Dr.
Praveen
Jasmine P.
sir.
Vanilla, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. A very good evening and warm welcome to all the participants for the second day of the Faculty Development Program hosted by Science and Humanities Department of Panimala Institute of Technology. I welcome you all. I wholeheartedly welcome the speaker of today's session, Dr. Usha Iswaran. Welcome, ma'am. Dr. Usha Iswaran is a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, academician, educationalist, career analyst, YouTuber, life skill coach, and an NLP master practitioner. She is a planning board member of Thiruvalluvar University, actively engaged herself in imparting skill development, career development, academic consultancy through SEEK as its CEO. Dr. Usha Iswaran is an alumnus of Annamalai and Andhra University with bachelor's and master's degrees in electronics and instrumentation engineering. She was awarded her doctorate by Jawaharlal Technological University, Hyderabad. She has over 30 years of experience in the field of education and industry. Her key responsibilities held in engineering institutions are principal, director, dean, and placement officer. She is a member of many technical societies, in addition to being a member of the editorial team of over 10 international technical journals for reviewing technical papers. Dr. Usha Iswaran has been conferred with the coveted Rex Karmavir Global Fellowship and Karmavir Chakra Award instituted by Icon Go and the UN for her consistent, dedicated service to the society. On behalf of our management, we once again welcome you wholeheartedly, ma'am. Now you can take over the session, ma'am. Thank you.
Presentation. Presentation. Okay. Good evening, one and all present here for the webinar. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are audible.
I'm audible? Okay. Is the screen visible for everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So we all have gathered here today for a webinar on balanced social life, importance, and recreation for academic achievement. And it is organized by Panimala Institute of Technology. And I would like to thank every one of you for giving me this opportunity to be with you all for this 1 hour. I hope the session should be very useful for you so that you will start enjoying your social life as well as your academic life. So, as ma'am said, I'm Dr. Usha Ishwaran, and she has given a lot of input about me, and a member planning board Thiruvalluvar University, and also I'm CEO of my organization SEEK. It is involved in skill development, career guidance, and academic consultancy. And I'm an academician, educationist, entrepreneur, career analyst, life skill coach, motivational speaker, NLP master practitioner, and a YouTuber. And I have 30 years of experience in education and industry. And I've addressed more than 20 lakhs of people and trained more than 1 lakh of students and placed more than 10,000 students and counseled more than a lakh of people. So let us see the overview of today's webinar. So this topic is nothing but how to maintain balance in our work as well as in our life. So what is work-life balance and what is your work-life balance? What are the benefits of work-life balance and what are the effective prioritizing techniques? I'm going to discuss about three main techniques: ABC method, Covey's quadrant, Pareto principle, and how can we bring proper work-life balance in our daily life. And finally, the master key to peaceful progress in life. So this is what is the today's agenda. So we are all familiar with an English proverb: all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Similarly, all work and recreation would mean a stressful and an unfilling life. We all need to learn the art of balancing work as well as time and recreation for ourselves. How we achieve it is a matter of individual's choice. How much is too much? This is a very big question where we don't have a scale to measure. Extra hours at work, work spilling into home, and not knowing how to manage work and home. That is what is how much is too much. And what does it mean? And how do we get it? It means our inability to switch off from work, and this becomes a major negativity in managing both our work and life. To begin with, we need to understand nobody can remain busy all the time. Teachers, unlike other professions, generally carry a responsibility of shaping their students and thinking about their academic work even at the time of being at home. The perfect balance between work life and home life never be dictated by any institution. We cannot learn from anywhere, but ultimately it is up to you to achieve it. The most common difficulties generally faced would be in finding a balance in that life is constantly changing, and there may be times when work requires more time and vice versa. The key is to have strategies and techniques so that you can maintain a balanced lifestyle. To begin with, you need to first understand your responsibilities and roles, both at work and at home. If you are finding yourself in a constant state of stress or unable to meet the demands at work and at home, then a reassessment of your working pattern needs to be done and establish a pattern where you can be in a state of comfort. To achieve this, begin by setting priorities in your general tasks and do not attempt tackling everything at one time. Everything cannot be tackled at a time. Now, let us try to understand what is work. Work is those tasks that we perform in our employment for which we are compensated with money. And what is life? Life refers to our activities beyond work. These include our activities involving family and friends. And work life balance. An ideal work life balance would be where we would be in a position of managing both the demands of employment and our social life. An ideal balance in both work and personal life would imply your ability in managing both demands of work and social life. This will always keep you in a state of peace and total happiness. On the other hand, if we experience poor relationships, poor social life, a sense of detachment with others, then we need to understand that prioritization of our activities need to be undertaken. So now let us see a chart. Let me try to amplify the concept of work-life balance through a pictorial representation of facts. A 100% satisfaction level would be achieved with a 60% work and 40% life balance. A 75% satisfaction level may be achieved with 50% work and 50% life balance. Any higher percentage level at work would translate into a lower satisfaction work life balance. So, how do we know we are out of balance? To find ourselves in a constant state of anxiety and a general feeling of being unwell is a clear indication of being in a poor state of work life balance. Further, finding ourselves not being able to participate in family responsibilities and social involvement is an outcome of us being in a state of imbalance. What can happen to us? Suppose if we are in imbalance, how do we find that? Both physiological and psychological damages happen, and a poor work life balance would affect your personal life, relationship, and health. This would translate into muscle tension, high blood pressure, fatigue, shortness of breath, lack of sleep, weakness, dizziness, headache, stomach upset, etc. A general feeling of being unhappy would be the general state of the person with a poor work life balance. And psychologically, a person with poor work life balance would generally be in a state of depression, unable to focus and perform any activity, anxiety, confused, and ever worried. The person would also generally exhibit an aggressive and negative approach and attitude towards people as well as at work. People end up distributing or disturbing their work life balance because of personal ambitions in wanting to achieve bigger things in life and the general perceptions of those achievements bringing us happiness. But in this process, they end up unable to manage too many things at the same time. So, what are the benefits of work life balance in an organization? Now, let us see the organizational gains that come with a healthy work life balance. In today's world, all organizations aim to achieve highest productivity. And for increased productivity, the very basic need is to have a happy, healthy, and a contented workforce. A contented workforce creates better teamwork and nil rivalry at work. And what about the individual? How they get benefited out of this work life balance? Along with organizational gain, let us also understand the benefits that individuals achieve through a healthy work life balance. The individuals find themselves in a very good space in life and they achieve better results in all their efforts. They have healthy relationship both at an official level as well as at a social level. They are free from stress and generally create a good ambience wherever they are. So, balanced life, a person with a healthy work life balance would be in a position to always have a time for meeting their friends, colleagues, and have family gatherings, meet relationship, or develop relationships, community activities, self care, sports, exercise, hobbies, interest, job, religious activities, etc. Now, let us see this work life hierarchy. A healthy work life balance would ensure all demands of self, family, work, and community being met with least difficulty and fulfillment of all demands. Through work life balance, one should thus be able to easily take care of one's self, which becomes the foundation in the hierarchical representation of work life balance. A good foundation would enable meeting the requirements of the family, thus fulfilling the emotional needs. A contented and happy, healthy individual would be a better performer at work. Recognition of skill and the resulting joy would then motivate the individuals to perform better and serve the community well. The benefits at work would be in the form of an academician who is feeling relaxed, energized, empowered, and feeling to perform better. A happy individual would find time for pursuing research and other academic interests benefiting both oneself and the institution that he or she represents. He or she would also be deriving fulfillment and happiness from work. A balanced individual would be a fulfilled individual, actually. He or she would be in a state of healthy relationship with his or her family and friends. He or she would be at his or her better physical or mental state of health. The person would be in a position of making choices based on their priorities rather than sacrifices. The person would also find time for all activities, including leisure. Having established a pattern that gives you comfort, it is equally important and essential that we continue to sustain a balance. The following four techniques may be adopted to sustain the balance that we have established. Setting priorities, COVIS 4 quarters, Pareto principle 80-20, and developing a work-life plan. We all know life is like riding a bicycle, and to keep your balance, you must keep on moving. Let us now understand the various steps involved in learning to set priorities. This is very, very essential. And it seems like everything nowadays is a priority. List down the most important activity first. Then perform tasks whose deadlines are close. And put off tasks whose deadlines are far. And perform tasks that motivates you. So this is very, very important. Classification of tasks is essential in setting the right priority. This can be achieved through preparation of a to-do list. The list may be classified as A, B, and C, and A indicating the highest priority of work, that is the most important and urgent tasks. B indicating a task of a secondary priority. Tasks are important, but they are not urgent. And C indicate the tasks that have the least priority. Tasks are neither urgent nor important. The second technique of setting priorities is based on classification of tasks as per their urgency and importance. They are listed in the 4 quadrants based on their urgency and importance. The 4 quadrants are as flashed on this slide. The quadrant 1 has the most urgent and important task, and they are to be done immediately. Quadrant 2 has tasks that are important but not urgent as yet. They are to be decided as to when it has to be done. And quadrant 3 has unimportant and not urgent tasks. They may be dumped for now. Then quadrant 4 is urgent but not significantly important tasks. So these tasks could be delegated for completion. Now we have come to the very important slide, that is the third technique. This could be based on Pareto principle, which essentially lists down tasks based on time and effort. It is seen that in most of the activities that 80% of the time is spent on tasks that produce only 20% results. It means we spend more time on trivial tasks and less time on important tasks. Therefore, to perform better, we need to classify the tasks based on vital few and trivial many. The vital few takes 20% of our time and produce 80% results. The trivial may take up to 80% of our time and produce only 20% of results. So now let me explain you how we can differentiate the task under 80-20 principle. There are tasks that have always made us feel good. Doing things you have always wanted to do or that make you feel good about yourself. And some tasks where working on that task you don't like, but we understand that it is very important for our career advancement. And some tasks in our 80% that makes us happy, smiling, that gives us satisfaction. The 20% Pareto tasks could be identified as those essential tasks that are most helpful in our advancement toward our goal. Such activities would be identified for gains by reading and researching, which could be classified as most valuable. For academicians, being updated about the current trends, the latest technologies, the most modern methodologies, and those relevant to our academic needs are to be listed and pursued first. It also must be understood that in pursuit of our goals, we must not indulge in shortcuts and activities that go against the ethics of our noble profession. The fourth technique would be in establishing a work-life plan through identification and analyzing our existing roles. Developing a work-life plan would begin through identification of focus areas that help in achieving our objectives. Having understood our objectives and identified areas, we need to develop our actions that will help us in attaining our objective. Having understood what it takes to get what we want, we now need to establish the time frame within which to achieve our objective. The time frame and the tasks associated will define our implementation plan. Having developed and established the method to meet our objective, we need to ensure that we sustain the plan we have drawn to ourselves. This plan needs to be continuously adhered and to be followed. How can we bring proper work-life balance? This is a very important question, because we have spoken about what is work-life balance, what will happen if we lose balance, and if we have balance, how we can benefit. Everything we have seen. Now it is very important that how can we bring, it's very simple to say, but is it that easy? The essentials to achieving work-life balance are in learning to prioritize, saying no, leaving work at office, practicing 3D principle, being honest with self, approaching work with right attitude, understanding our own needs, following ethics, and maintaining balance.
Please do check the data.
Any problem? Am I not audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, it is audible.
Okay, I heard some voice in between. Okay. So prioritizing is knowing what is to be done first, making a plan and following it. Achieving our priority through fixing realistic time frame and also being able to access tasks that cannot be undertaken by us. Identifying the most difficult tasks and allotting sufficient time for completion. We need to be confident to admit tasks that cannot be undertaken by us, thereby not affecting our overall ability and confidence. Once we have finalized our tasks, we must not take up new tasks that will have a bearing on completion on our ongoing schedule. Do not take up tasks that you do not enjoy or those tasks that you feel you cannot handle. Being consistent with your beliefs will not harm your reputation by refusing additional jobs. We have been groomed from our younger days in such a way that we have started to believe saying no is disrespectful. Therefore, most of us find it difficult to say no to tasks that we simply are not in a position to perform. We generally pay more respects to others' time than our own. We also believe in the need to be seen as being cooperative and believe that by saying yes, we would be a valued member in any team. The pressure of being perceived as being selfish when we say no becomes that much more difficult on us. For those people who would like to believe that they would find it difficult to say no and do not wish to antagonize fellow team members, I suggest some following ways of saying no. They can present themselves as willing to take on tasks at a later date. They could also present themselves as not being the most qualified person to take the task and alternately suggest someone else. They could even share their activity schedule over the next weeks and present themselves as having no time. They could even be blunt enough by saying that they cannot focus on the task immediately. The existing commitments in terms of current project may be highlighted in refusing to take up new tasks. We could also be polite enough in putting our view across as that we would have normally taken the assignment, but due to certain unexpected tasks and their close deadlines, they need to address that first. So that way also you can say no. Here too, we could be direct enough to refuse the new task by putting forth our view of not wanting to do a half-hearted job. Most of us generally carry office baggage to home and keep brooding over it. We need to learn to relax at home with family and friends. In today's world, where individual privacy has been invaded through mobile phones, we need to consciously turn off our mobiles to keep work at office and regenerate ourselves so that we could be effective when we take up work at office subsequently. Each work has its own urgency, and we need to trust our ability to judge the same. There are 3 Ds which you need to practice. One is do it, delegate it, and dump it. We need to make a conscious effort on taking on only those tasks that essentially needs to be done by us. Growing professionally also means in being able to prepare others around you in taking up jobs. You people in the department, you can prepare or train somebody so that they can also handle the same. And that helps the overall team performance. Identify people whom you can entrust and get the jobs done. In a scenario where there is a possibility that the task can be done with outside help, then hire the people and get it done. The various parameters of accessing oneself honestly are social, health, relationships, finances, spiritual, and work. The happiness level quotient in each of the above factors needs a weekly honest review. And as a follow-up, also understand how well one is doing everything. Be honest, because this is your life we are talking about. So we should be honest about whether we are happy in work as well as at home. If we do not honestly carry out a review, then the whole thing will be just a waste of time. The moment we use a word, my job is a problem for me, the problem by its definition means I have no control over it. I can't do anything about it. I'm helpless. When you feel I don't have control over it and I'm helpless, when you think it is beyond your control, then how will you correct it? You can't correct it. You feel victimized by being in this job. When I say my job is challenging, the only difference between problem and challenging is when I'm not saying by challenging it is easy, but by saying challenging, I'm saying to myself that I can do something about it. It is still under my control. I can develop my competence. I can change the quality of my relation with my subordinates or my superiors. I can empower my team differently. We can re-strategize and methodology with which we can work so that we still finish the work within the timeline that has been prescribed to us. Whether you see it as a challenge or whether you see it as a problem, it changes the entire approach towards the work. Most of your working hours is your waking hours. So a person who is not happy at work is not happy in life. You want to be transformed in your thinking. I should learn the latest technology. I should learn the latest scientific innovations. I should do another certification. Work should become an expression. Work should become a means of growth and prosperity. Work should be an expression of our happiness. Work should become a means of growth and prosperity. Work should be an expression of our happiness. Work should be a direction to your potential. Work should be a means through which I can achieve my goals and desires in my life. The attitude is very important aspect as it will be the most valuable factor in one's success. It is what we think is what is going to give us success. Your vision, next is determine your vision. Your vision will be based on the dreaming of the present activities whose outcome when realized. The content and happiness that you feel on realization of your dream will be your emotional payoff. Secret to improve the quality of your life. All thoughts do not become things, but all things are primarily thoughts. If we have to improve the quality of the harvest, I have to improve the quality of seeds. If I don't improve the quality of my seeds, I won't be able to improve the quality of my harvest. Similarly, if all things were first a thought, if I have to improve the quality of things in my life, then I have to improve the quality of my thinking. Without improving the quality of your thoughts, we cannot improve the quality of things. Who is working on our thoughts every day? What is influencing our thoughts? What books are we reading? What magazines are we reading? What is the news we are reading in the newspaper? We see 90% of the negative things in the newspaper, but we forget to believe that there are 90 good people are there and only 10% of bad people are there. But only those bad news come in the newspaper and we think the entire world is bad. If I have to improve the quality of my life, I have to improve the quality of my thoughts. Your vision is shaped by the details gathered by your sensory organs, namely colors, scenes, shapes, people, what we see. Share your vision statement with your colleagues so that you are motivated in completing them within planned time. An honest assessment and a review will form the basis for a constant updating based on the progress achieved. A key element in work-life balance would be to have a similar personal mission statement in life, also as how we define in our career. It has to be clearly established by one on what purpose do you intend to achieve in life. A similar personal mission statement needs to be developed depending on what values you believe in. As a follow-up, you need to review your actions for accomplishing the purpose in life that you have earlier identified. Understand how and what aid one is pursuing one's goal. So the work-life balance ethics, if you see, you need to live to relax and love your bed. You need to sleep well, relax in a day, and simply know when required, because you cannot compromise on your life for anything. So when you start the day, you have to concentrate on so many things because the entire day is dependent on how you start the day. To tackle the hardest problem, whatever you have, and visualize how you will make your day. And workout, exercise is very essential. And always don't work on emails. Also do real work. And talk to people as our customers or students. Talk to students and know what is there in their mind and ask your own self. And also, it's very, very essential to have a healthy meal because what we eat also decides how we think. So we need to concentrate on eating more protein and eating slowly. Actually, there is a way to eat. When we chew the food, it should become like liquid. So you need to drink your solids. So nearly 40 times you need to chew your food once you take in your mouth. And when you chew slowly, you understand, you concentrate without seeing any TV or mobile phones or any newspapers. Just concentrate on the food, enjoy the food, and brain gets the signal of what you're eating. And that gives a signal to the small intestine that this is what is the food that is going to come, and it has to digest accordingly. So this is the way one has to eat, but many of us do not follow this at all. We just take 5 minutes or 10 minutes to eat and run for job. But please do concentrate on eating also, because this is very, very essential to make you keep healthy. And and there are many productive ways where you need to concentrate on your technology, because that is very much required for your education or in your academic roles. And you need to concentrate on your health, your body, your schedule, your food, your mind, everything. Everything is essential to be productive. It's not only the work and the homework what we do. We also have to keep a healthy mind in order to get some productive outputs. So work life balance ethics. So don't do something tomorrow that you can do the day after. That means if you can relax, then let it relax. You concentrate on your life instead of finishing everything on one day. If it can be delayed, delay it, and use that time for your entertainment or your health or your self analysis, living for your own self and your family, friends. So that is also very, very essential. And if you feel like doing your work, sit down and do. And don't forget, work is healthy, and so leave it for sick people. So you need to think out of the box and see how you can be smart enough. You cannot take all the work on your head and see that you miss a lot of fun in your life. The secret to work life balance is you need to review. First of all, you would have crossed certain time by now, and it is time for you to review how you have lived and how you have done your job, how much time you have spent with your family, how much time you have spent on your own self, health, food, or entertainment, or any other hobbies, or anything what you like to do. So when you review and revisit, you will be able to understand where you have gone wrong, because this is very essential to correct our own self when we go wrong. Because at least in future we can do some remedial measures to rectify those mistakes, and then reflect and see how it was and where there need to be a change. Then readjust the routine whatever you have been following. And finally, if everything is fine and you know the path what you're going, and if everything is positive, then reward yourself. Don't expect somebody to come and motivate you. The self motivation is the best way, but one has to really feel of a life and work balance. Both are very, very essential. As I said, 60% of work and 40% of life is very essential in order to have a satisfaction level. So here, the happiness, the overall happiness depends on three factors. One is genetics. So that cannot be changed. Certain things we don't have control over it, and certain things we have control over. What you can have control over is the circumstances, the people who are around us. That makes a lot of difference. Actually, the one who is around us will inject a lot of ideas of them into us. So this will pollute us for for making us not being our own self. We will be living a fake life of what the other person thinks. So circumstances is to be taken care and concentrated on who is there around us. Next is the internal state of mind. So what you think, what is your attitude, how you look at the situations, how you take the situations, or any consequences. You do some action and some consequences happens. Some are controllable and some are not controllable. So how do you react to those situations? So that is the internal state of mind. So how we think is what we are going to behave and how people are going to see us also. So we have to concentrate on that. So let us see some master key messages to peaceful and progress, how to have a peaceful progress in life. First one is we are talking about unchangeable things. We have many things that is happening in our life without our control and without unchangeable. And what will happen if we accept and what will happen if we don't accept? So first we are going to see accept the unchangeable. This is what is the mantra, but let us see what happens when we don't. My acceptance of it makes it tolerance. So when we accept something, it is called as tolerance and it is becoming a positive emotion. My non-acceptance of it makes it anger and it gives a negative emotion. I'll give you a small example in your house. Suppose you're eating something and you're asking your wife to bring a cup of water. And she is also in a hurry because she's also a working woman and she brings the cup of glass of water where you can see the water inside as well as outside. I mean, some drops of water is also there on the outer part of the glass. So she didn't make a note of it and she comes and gives you the glass of water and the water spills on your paper, which is a very important paper which you have to submit to your superiors. So what will be your reaction? You are not going to accept it at all. You will just shout at her and saying, don't you know minimum you should wipe that glass before giving it to me. So that is what is the reaction. That is nothing but a negative emotion. You are going to the college and your correspondent calls you and there is a meeting. You're just attending a meeting and you are alone with the correspondent talking to him and he's offering you water. He's asking his peon to bring water to you. Same glass of water he is also bringing by spilling some water on your papers. What will be your reaction? Will you shout at the peon in front of the correspondent or you will just smile and say, it's okay, I can manage. So what is the difference? Same thing happened at home as well as in office, but our reaction is different. So first in home, it was my non-acceptance which made me to have an emotion, which is a negative emotion, and it was an anger. Whereas when I started accepting it, because there is no other option, it is my boss. In front of my boss, I just can't shout. So I'm just accepting it. My acceptance of it makes it tolerance. I'm able to tolerate that. And it turns to be a positive emotion. When I'm facing some uncertainty, sometimes, you don't want uncertain things to happen. You just want everything to be normal. Because now this pandemic itself, it's an uncertainty situation only. Like you have never experienced sitting at home for so long and working for so long. And a lot of things we are facing now. It's an uncertainty which many people don't want to face. So when I'm facing an uncertainty and not able to accept it, it becomes fear. When I'm facing an uncertainty and I'm able to accept it, it becomes an adventure. Yes, it has happened. We can't do anything. You have to face it. You have to learn something from this. So this is again how we take the situation. And somebody has something in life which I don't have. Every one of us have this feeling when we see our neighbor or our colleague or anybody whom we know, a relative or anybody, they may have some good car and they may have their son studying in America. So maybe their children are doctors or something better than you. So you will feel like somebody has something in life which I don't have. I'm not able to accept it. I become jealous. So this is the feeling what we get. Somebody has something in life which I don't have, but I'm able to accept it. and it becomes an inspiration. So this is how the acceptability and non-acceptability gives a different emotion to our own self. See, this cannot be changed. The other person's children are in America, or they are doctors, or they have a good car, but you cannot go and change. So there is no point in feeling jealous of it. Oh, okay, that is their lifestyle. So let them live like that. Let me live in my own way, or I will get it in on one day. That will be an inspiration what you will be getting. So unwanted jealous can be turned into an inspiration. Then somebody has hurt me. This happens in office as well as at home. Many times in office, due to a lot of politics, we get this. Somebody has hurt me and I'm not able to accept it. It becomes hatred. So when somebody is hurting you and you're not able to accept, you don't like that, what happens? You start hating that person. And somebody has hurt you and I have accepted it, it becomes forgiveness. So yes, somebody hurt me for some reason. Maybe I don't know what mood he was in, and maybe I have done something wrong. Let me correct myself. If you ignore that, if you accept that, what will happen? That becomes an emotion of forgiveness. Then something plus non-acceptance is anger, which is a negative emotion. So we have seen some situations now. I'm just summarizing this. Something plus non-acceptance is anger. It is a negative emotion. Something plus acceptance is tolerance, and it is a positive emotion. Something plus non-acceptance is fear, which is a negative emotion. And something plus acceptance is adventure, which is a positive emotion. And something plus non-acceptance is jealousy, which is again a negative emotion. And something plus acceptance is inspiration, and it is a positive emotion. Something plus non-acceptance is hatred, that becomes a negative emotion. And something plus acceptance is forgiveness, and it is a positive emotion. Suppose we follow tolerance, adventure, inspiration, and forgiveness in life, we won't be in any sort of stress. We will be very happy and our life will be very, very smooth, and we will not waste time thinking about the negative things. Suppose we get anger and fear, jealousy and hatred, we actually what to say, like we punish our own self with those negative emotion. Actually, because of that only our health will get spoiled, our mind will get spoiled, our relationships will get spoiled. So all these things, either in your personal life or in your professional life, what you think and how you accept certain things which are not changeable is going to give you a positive emotion, and which is going to help you give more energy to work in a better way. But if you can change something, change it. If it is in your hand that you can change it, then change the changeable and remove yourself from unacceptable. If you can't accept certain things, remove yourself. Don't get into unwanted negative emotions, which will spoil the progress of your life. So, final thoughts. Whatever it is, whether it is professional life or personal life, to achieve anything, you should have a will. Where there is a will, there is a way. But the determination should be there. And yes, I should find a way. You cannot sacrifice anything for anything. You need to balance both work and life, and you need to find a way, prioritize what you want, be smart, and concentrate on the 20% of the things which is going to give you 80% of results. Make your attitude in such a way that you think positive and bring out maximum positive emotions. Try to smile as much as possible, which will help you to progress in your life. And whatever you're doing, the good things, keep practicing. Practice makes a person perfect. And here you can see the quote of Bruce Lee. There was an interview with Bruce Lee when they asked, how he is. He was asked whether he is scared of a person who will come with 10,000 kicks, like he has practiced 10,000 kicks. But he said, no, I'm not bothered about somebody with a knowledge of 10,000 kicks, but I will be worried, or I will fear for a man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times, because When you practice something again and again, you become perfect in it. So that is what is the mantra and key for success. And always think big in life. Never think low, because you can achieve it. You can achieve a lot of things in life. There was a village in which the boy was playing in the village, and he could see a huge sophisticated car coming in. And when he just dropped the cricket bat, and he was watching at the car. And the person who was coming in the car, he stopped, and he asked the boy, "Hey, you want to come for a drive? You just get into my car. I will take you around the village. You just show me your village." The boy gets into the vehicle, and he was so amazed with the sophistication inside the car, with a lot of very good ambience, perfume smell, AC, and the cushion seats, and the radio, or whatever it is. Everything was very, very attractive for him. He has never seen such things, and he asked the man, like, "Sir, how much does this car cost?" Then this man smiled, and he said, like, "Oh, my boy, I did not buy this. Actually, my brother gifted this to me." Then the boy kept quiet. He did not talk anything. And they went round, and then the man came back to the same place where he picked the boy, and the boy got down silently. And the man asked, like, "What happened? You're feeling bad that you don't have a brother like what I have, and you don't have a brother to get you a car. You're feeling bad for it." And the boy said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm not feeling for that. I'm just thinking what I should do in my life, what I should do so that I can get a car like this to my brother. So I wanted to become like your brother. I wanted to raise myself to that level so that I can gift a car to my brother." So that is what is thinking big in life. And dedicated effort will never go waste. We need to dedicate ourselves totally, either in work or in your life. Equal amount of time for the family members as well as the friends, relatives, recreation, your own self-interest, and the work, because work is going to give us money. We need to concentrate on that also. So even in work, we need to see like how we can upskill ourselves, how we can update ourselves, what are the latest things, what are the new teaching methodologies, what are all the tools available, how can I be the best, how can I be the first person to know all those things. So that sort of dedication should be there in learning. And we need to first of all trust in our own abilities. Never feel insecure or inferior, feeling low about yourself. Trust yourself. Yes, I can do it. I have all the skills what I need. So trust your own abilities and don't compare with others. Either with your children, also don't compare your children with anyone, or you also don't compare yourself with others. You have a unique life. God has given you one precious life. Like the fingerprint what we have, each and every one is brought to this world for some reason or the other. So we need to be unique. When you start comparing like others, you will become like others only. You will not become something more than them. So try to have a uniqueness and don't compare with others, and improve, identify your own strength, your own ability, your own uniqueness, and be unique. And many people, like this webinars, you would have heard a lot of things, people advising a lot of things. We have Google to search on a lot of things, but all are not successful. Why? Every secret is available open, and you don't have to pay for it. But why we are unable to succeed? We all plan. When we plan, it is there in our mind. We all decide, yes, I wanted to do it. Maybe you'll write it down. And then you think how to do it. Everything is okay, but we fail to implement. So this is the only line which we need to keep in mind, that we plan everything, we decide everything, we think everything. But why do we not succeed? Just because we fail to implement the plan. So become someone who does not just think about it or talk about it, but does it. So this is very essential. Let your personality shine through. You have a unique personality gifted by God, and it is in our ability, in our attitude, in our vision, how to bring it out. And mantra of success is always happiness. You don't have to wait till you get a promotion, that only then I will be happy. Till you get a car, only then I will be happy. Till I get 1 lakh salary, only then I'll be happy. It's not like that. Every second should be enjoyed and every moment is just going. The last 45 minutes has just flow away. We don't have it again. So every second and every microsecond, we need to live our life happily and in a productive way. And we should make sure that wherever we are, we should be of some importance and some value. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. And if you have any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. It was an excellent presentation, and most of the participants were commenting during the chat during your presentation in the chat box. It was a wonderful session, and I request the participants to post any queries in the chat box so that we can take few questions. And there is a question.
Okay.
Thanks for the motivating presentation. I always get motivated, and it is really difficult to apply or practice it in day-to-day manner. Please pour some thoughts on it.
So I will tell how I do. Actually, first of all, you need to have a goal. The goal setting is the first thing. When you have a goal setting, you need to visualize how you will feel when that goal is achieved. Suppose today I have this webinar. This is my goal. Okay. After completion of this goal, after you say that yes, this webinar was useful and it was very practical and many tips we were have a takeaway was there from the webinar. So when I have a goal that I should do this webinar well, I should provide proper inputs to the audience so that they'll have some takeaway. This 1 hour should not go waste for them. So when I have this goal, after finishing the goal, what will be the emotion I'll have? Maybe I would have sat for 2 days to make the presentation, but now all my tiredness will go and I'll feel happy. So this happiness should be the emotion first when you start setting your goal. Suppose you wanted to finish your PhD, you wanted to complete your PhD. Many people have this and they start and for the next 2 years, they will not do any work. They will not be moving at all, even a small step until the guide come and ask like, what happened? Have you published some paper? Have you done any work? I used to work when I was doing my PhD and I used to stick PhD is my goal. Wherever in every room, I used to have it in my in front of me. Because sometimes when you are involving in yourself in your personal and work, like you forget your goal. The main thing, that is what I said, that 80-20 rule. 80% of the work what we are doing gives only 20% of the results. But some very important 20% job, whatever we do, will give 80% result. So for us, if a person feels like he has to finish a PhD, then that is very important. In his life, it is a big achievement. So how much time or how much effort, it's not the number of hours or the effort, a correct way of doing that thing. So if a person wanted to be motivated, first of all, the goal what he has set should be strong and he should every day visualize his goal. Once he visualizes his goal, all his habits will change. Something will bring in his mind and ring like, no, I have to do this because it is very important work for me. So first of all, he should understand and believe that it is an important work. If we believe that it is an important work, our brain will also support you to do that. If you feel you want to watch TV, you are enjoying watching TV, the brain will think it will encourage you to watch TV only. If you feel, yes, doing my research work is very important for me, if you feel I'm happy doing that, brain will remind you to do that work. So it is the input what we give to the brain, which emotion we give.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a nice explanation. And there is a second question: how to manage the politics in workplace as well as house?
I can accept if it is in workplace, but house also you have politics. Oh my God. Okay. See, in work, actually, that happens, and how I feel, because I was a lecturer And then I've gone to the position of director, dean. I was a principal. So all those positions, definitely, politics will be there. Not only in academics, not only in institution, in any company, wherever you have, you'll have politics. And people would like to do politics because sometimes you will be very good. You have the capability, you have the ability. So they don't want you to perform and get good name, or they don't want you to perform and get some promotion. So if you are not at all doing any work, you will not have any politics. Politics will come only if you are good. So that is the first thing you should understand. Like you have quality and you have the ability, and because of that you will be benefited in the institution. If somebody see you doing good work, people will appreciate you. But others don't want that to happen. That is why they play some politics. Maybe they will not allow you to do that job, or they will tell bad about you to somebody. My only advice is just ignore. Because if you care for that, you will stop doing what you're doing. Because the people who are talking about you are not up to your mark. They are not capable enough to talk to you. First of all, they don't have the ability. They are not qualified enough, not only in education but also in mind. They are not qualified enough to reach you. So no point in looking at and caring for those people. Only thing is ignore. If you just ignore and be friendly with them, don't have to be an enemy with them. Just ignore. How many times they can do that? So whatever you do, inna seidare oruther avar naana nannayam seidu vidal. நீங்க எவ்வளவு வந்து அதுக்கான இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறீங்களோ அவங்க அதிகமா பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ அதை நீங்க இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸே கொடுக்காம அதை உங்களுக்கு பாதிக்கவே இல்லைன்ற மாதிரி இக்னோர் பண்ணிட்டு நீங்க பாட்டுக்கு உங்க வேலையை பண்ணிட்டே இருந்தீங்க அப்படின்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா திங்ஸ் வந்து சேஞ்ச் ஆகும். திஸ் இஸ் மை ப்ராக்டிக்கல் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்.
Excellent explanation, ma'am. Thank you for your quotes also. And there is a final question. 99 out of 100 times we say yes. But if we say no, once our higher authorities get annoyed. Later I can't meet him to get a day leave. How to handle this?
Definitely in Panimalar getting leave is a big question mark. See, இதுதான் வந்து வாழ்க்கையில ரொம்ப சாதாரணமா நடக்கிற ஒரு விஷயம். நம்ம வந்து பல தடவை பண்ணிருப்போம், நல்லது பண்ணிருப்போம். ஒரு தடவை மாட்டேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா உடனே யூ பிகம் அ பேட் பர்சன். லைக் முன்னாடி பண்ணினதெல்லாம் மறந்துடுவாங்க. ஸோ நான் அதுக்குதான் வந்து நான் அந்த சேயிங் நோக்கு நான் அவ்வளோ இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுத்து அவ்வளோ ஸ்லைட்ஸ் போட்டதுக்கு காரணமே லைக் யூ ஷுட் நோ ஹவு டு சே நோ. ஏன்னா நீங்க முதல்லயே முடியாதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டீங்கன்னா நீங்க கெட்டவங்கள ஆக மாட்டீங்க. நீங்க அவ்வளோ பண்ணிட்டு கடைசியில முடியல, எக்ஸஸ் ஆகும்போது முடியாதுன்னு சொல்லும் போது என்ன ஆகும்னா யூ பிகம் பேட் பர்சன். ஸோ உங்களோட எபிலிட்டி என்ன, எவ்வளவு பண்ண முடியும். நோ சொல்றதுலயுமே வந்து ஜஸ்டிபிகேஷனோட சொன்ன பீப்புள் வில் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். அதாவது நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி உங்களுக்கு நிறைய ஒர்க் இருக்கு, இன்னைக்கு இவ்வளவு லெசன்ஸ் முடிச்சாகணும், இப்ப இருக்கிற ஆன்லைன் டீச்சிங்ல வந்து நிறைய பிபிடிஸ் பண்ண வேண்டியிருக்கும் உங்களுக்கு. ஸோ இட் இஸ் நாட் லைக் ரெகுலர் கிளாஸ் ஒர்க் மாதிரி கிடையாது. இப்ப இருக்கிற கோவிட் டைம்ல வந்து எவ்ரி ஒன் டபுள் த ஒர்க் தான் இருக்கு ஆக்சுவலா. ஸோ அப்ப இருக்கும்போது வந்து எக்ஸ்ட்ரா ஒர்க் யாரான கொடுத்தாங்களோ, இல்லைன்னா அட்மிஷன் ஒர்க் பாருங்க, இல்ல வந்து பசங்களோட பேசுங்க, கவுன்சிலிங் பண்ணுங்க, அவங்க மார்க் ஏன் வாங்கல. தீஸ் ஆர் ஆல் சம்திங் விச் ஆர் ஓவர் லோடிங் திங்ஸ் இன் த காலேஜ். டெஃபினெட்லி நீங்க நோ சொல்லும் போது நீங்க நெகட்டிவ் ஆவீங்க. பட் வித் ஜஸ்டிபிகேஷன், if you could tell them that this is what is your tolerance level and this is what is the time limit you have, என்ன ரீசன்னால நோ சொல்றீங்கிறது உங்களோட யூ ஷுட் நோ தட். டெஃபினெட்லி ஐ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். யாருமே நோ சொன்னாங்கன்னா யாருக்குமே நம்மள பிடிக்காம தான் போகும். அதுக்கு வந்து நீங்க வந்து முதல்லயே வந்து அது உங்களால ரொம்ப நாள் பண்ண முடியாது அப்படின்னா முதல்லயே பிகினிங்லயே நீங்க வந்து ஸ்டாப் பண்றது பெட்டர். லைக் சில பேர் வந்து கடன் கேட்பாங்க, ஒரு 10 தடவை கடன் கொடுப்பாங்க, 11வது தடவை கடன் கொடுக்கலன்னா என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, திட்டிட்டு போவாங்க. சோ முதல்லயே வந்து இஃப் யூ சே லைக் நோ ஐ எம் நாட் ஆஃப் தட் பர்சன், ஐ cannot lend money அப்படின்ற மாதிரி முதல்லயே நீங்க இப்படிதான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டீங்கன்னா, அவங்க கிட்ட எல்லாம் போய் கேட்காதப்பா, அவங்க எல்லாம் கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க அப்படின்ற மாதிரி நம்மள வந்து ஒரு மாதிரி ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. அதனால நீங்க என்ன ரீசன்னால யூ ஆர் அவாய்டிங் தட் ஒர்க்ங்கிறத பேஸ் பண்ணி சொல்லக்கூடிய விதத்துல வந்து நீங்க அதை வந்து கம்யூனிகேஷன்ல தான் இருக்கு. எப்படி நீங்க அதை வந்து சொல்லி புரிய வைக்க போறீங்க. இல்ல அதை வந்து லேட்டா பண்ணி கொடுக்க முடியும்னா பண்ணி கொடுங்க. இல்ல இஃப் யூ ஃபீல் தட் இட் இஸ் இம்பாசிபிள், டெல் தட் இன் அ ரைட் மேனர். கம்யூனிகேஷன் தான் அங்க.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful explanations of the queries given by the participants. Now I call upon our Dean, Dr. Jasmine P. Vanilla, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you,
and
Arun
all that.
sir.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful and thought-provoking session where we received a clear view on work-life balance. Hearing to 80-20 principle, a four-quadrant principle, 3Ds were really valuable and enjoyable, ma'am. It was really a stress buster session for each one of us. Thank you so much for your informative and inspiring presentation. Thanks a lot. I thank all the participants for being with us throughout this wonderful session. We hope to meet you all again in another technical session tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for joining us. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again to all the participants who joined us today for this wonderful session. I hope from the presentation you would have reached to the next level of your life. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. Thanks once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, one question, sir. Tomorrow, which link will be followed?
We will
Sir,
share you,
please.
ma'am. The problem is we had 250. We had two links today. If the
Okay.
participants are crossing more than 250, we thought of
Okay.
going with that, and that's the reason. And all
Okay,
the
sir.
presentation is recorded. We will share you the presentation also.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Dear participants, the feedback link is posted in the chat box. You can fill your feedbacks, and the feedback link will be closed by 5:10. Thank you once again for joining us. Tomorrow we will be joining you with 3:45. Thank you.
Thank you.